Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, glorious warriors. Chris Wood here from Rising Phoenix Mental Health Channel. And today I'm going to talk to you about 5 tips on how to deal with lack of motivation. This is a good one for all of you, so listen up. First, I want to talk a little bit about my training for triathlons. I am raising money for nonprofit organizations such as Camp Aftermath, Wounded Warriors of Canada, and Warrior Ventures Canada, 3 incredible organizations that work so hard with our first responders and our military and our vets to give them the support and the resources that they need that are struggling with post-traumatic stress as well as anxiety and depression. I will have a link at the bottom, and you can certainly look on my GoFundMe page and please donate. As far as training goes, I've just started my real training, we'll call it. Prior to this, from November to January, it was basically just base training or off-season training just to get myself ready and my body and my mind ready for that kind of intense training. And I'm really glad that I did that, because now I'm in a position where I'm starting my intense training. So I was doing about between 5 to 8 hours a week of training. Now I am bumping that up. I am working with the Motive training plans, and they have set me up on a plan for my race season. I was on a base training program that consisted of swimming, biking, running, and strength training. And there were minimal amounts of time that I was spending per week. So we'll say in and around between 5 and 8 hours of training, depending on what it was I was working on. Now that I am now in race season training, things amp up quite a bit. And my training starts now anywhere from 8 hours to 10 hours to 11 hours of training. And it'll be like a pyramid sort of scheme where I work up, and then I have a week of just basically tapering and getting my body in a recovery mode, and then I'll do it again. And I'll be doing this for the next 4 months. So I have been dealing with lack of motivation. And some people will say that, that's not a thing. You have the discipline to do it or you don't. You're either lazy or you're not. You either can stick to your goal or you can't. That kind of thinking is pretty harsh, and it's not going to get you anywhere. And over the Christmas holidays, it's very challenging to continue your training, whether it's race training or base training or whatever it is you're doing, because of everything that's going on. So that comes into play, and the whole idea is, January comes around and hey, new goals, we're ready to go. For me, it's really just to focus on what's in place, focus on my training, focus on my mental health and my wellness, and that's what I'm working on. So you're going to come along with me, continuing my journey here. So let's talk about the first tip that you can do to mitigate, we'll say, the lack of motivation that you might be having. You might be great right now. You might be gung-ho. It's January, getting into this thing. If you're the type of person that sets goals once a year and this is the month that you do it, that might go on for a little bit. And then what happens? Life happens and everything just goes down the drain.
No question about it. I am ready to get hurt again.
One thing that I have done, and it's actually worked quite well for me, is holding yourself accountable, which helps with your commitment to your goal. My goal would be to raise $1,000 for each nonprofit organization. So that's my goal, and to do it by May the 28th, which is when this race is taking place. I wanted to be able to hold myself accountable. I wanted to be able to know that I have a community of support that will huddle around me. And the best way for me to do that would be going through social media. That's worked for me. I always, in my back of my mind, if I'm not feeling like training, I think to myself, hold on here. You have made a commitment to a community that is supporting you and is supporting these awesome nonprofit organizations that are helping our heroes. And I can't let them down. I can't let myself down. And that keeps me going. And it works. It does work. It's always in the back of my mind. Or my nutrition, or my flexibility, or my recovery, yada, yada, yada. But what I am saying is that it's something that has stayed in the back of my head and has helped me significantly. So if you were to commit to something, a goal that you have in mind publicly, through social media, for example, through Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever platform you use, that is going to help you. Tip 2 is thinking and reading about your goal, what it is you're wanting to do on a daily basis. Another option would be having a vision board or having the picture or your goal or a statement or something like that on your desktop. Something that you can see, or your phone, for example. It could be on your phone too. Something that you will see every day. Something that will remind you of what it is that you're doing. Very powerful stuff. Whether you do a vision board and you have a collage of pictures of what it is that you want to accomplish within the year, or like I said, a statement, or anything that's going to remind you of what it is you're trying to accomplish. Tip number 3 would be to get support. Get support in order to help you reach your goal, whatever it is that you're trying to do. Whether it's a short-term goal or a long-term goal, whether it's something you're working on for a week from now or a year from now. Get some support, get some help. Look at areas where you are struggling in and figure out how you can alleviate that stress. So for me, my biggest issues were training and nutrition. I did my research and I went with a triathlon training program that is going to help me to stay in my lane and not go too hard, so to the point where I may injure myself or not be interested in doing this or pulling out, quitting, whatever you want to say, but will also get me to finishing strong, which is what I want to do. I want to come across that finish line, guys, strong, with a big smile on my face, letting everybody know that I did this, I accomplished this. And so I did my research and I found a great little business called Motive Training. And I use their training program and I'm training every day with one day off. With all the research that I've done, I've planned to take one day off because that seems to work good for me as far as just having a recovery day. And on that recovery day, I'm doing something to recover. I'm either going to a chiropractor, I'm going to a massage therapist, I'm doing yoga, extra stretching, whatever the case may be, in order to just continue benefiting from that recovery so I can keep going. I've also looked at different workshops on nutrition, read some blogs, watched some videos, and listened to some podcasts, and I happened to find a decent nutritionist that can help me with my triathlon training. And I'm taking a workshop in a couple weeks just to dial in what it is I should be sort of taking in for macros, which is your carbohydrates, fats, and your proteins, and how I do that mix before training, after training, on longer training days, shorter intense days, that sort of thing. I really don't have much of a clue. I am just really just pulling stuff out of my ass, trying to figure out how the hell to dial this in. I thought I would just take a look at what Motive Training is all about. So I'm gonna click on the website here and I'm gonna just show you all what it is that I'm doing every day. I don't want to bore you, but I just want you guys to have an idea of what kind of commitment this is. So let's just take you into the Motive Training Plan here. Just signing in. And literally going through this, there's a coach's message board so I can get messages from my coach, as well as the motivator feed. So this is messages from anyone else that's taken the program. And if I go now down, I can actually take a look at some other messages from other other athletes that are taking the program, which is kind of cool. This is the meat and potatoes right here. It's my training plan. I'm now doing in around between 11 and 13 hours a week, and it just gives you an idea as to what I'm doing. These are the races that I'm going to be taking part in this year, the first one being May 28th, and moving forward from there. And these are my zones, so zone 1 through 5, so it gives me a good idea as to where I need to be, what my target heart rate should be in, and what zone I should be in for each training session. And this has been a gem for me so that I don't overdo it. This kind of gives you a good idea as to what it is that I am doing for my motive training plan, and I'm quite happy with it, actually.
One debt to society later.
The fourth tip would be to start small and build from there. Say you have a goal in mind that you want to do, and it is extremely scary, it's high risk, there's a possibility that you may get hurt, there's a possibility that you may fail. Whatever that fear is, if you just cut it down into chunks instead of just thinking about the main goal, it's a little bit more manageable that way and less scary. So for me, my goal is to complete a 70.3 half Ironman in Victoria on May the 28th and to raise money doing that for nonprofit organizations. Have I done triathlons before? Yes, I have. How long ago was that? About 16 years ago. Okay, so I have that mindset. I know what it feels like to train in 3 sports and at the same time, and I know that it hurts, but I know I have that mindset. What I don't have is the training abilities at this point. I don't have the cardiovascular or the strength. So I need to build on that. Okay, well, it's pretty scary to just go from 0 to doing a half Ironman. I've been running occasionally. It's been part of my training program for quite some time, but I don't run on a regular basis. I wasn't running on a regular basis, nor was I cycling or swimming. I haven't been in a pool for like 16, well, that's not true. I've been in pools with my son, but actually doing training for triathlon 16 years ago. So you can imagine how stressful that is on me, particularly having PTSD myself, to actually go to a pool and train in a pool. Oh my God, that's a whole other video for another time.
I got pool problems, Jerry.
What happened?
Well, I had been swimming for 3 hours, and I was in a real groove, so I decided to keep going. But at 10, they start the aqua size. 35 geriatrics throwing elbows. It's like I was swimming through a flabby-armed spanking machine.
Well, how long did that last?
Half hour. Then diving class started. Well, that got a little messy.
But to build it into chunks, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do a base training program that is about half the amount of time that I would need in order to accomplish my big goal, right? Of finishing the half Ironman. So that's what I did. I worked at it slowly. So and by doing that, it gave me more confidence to the point where now I think, okay, I have the mindset and physically I'm capable of doing this. I can believe in myself, knowing that I've done this before and I can do this again. Number 5, this is a big one. Get rid of the negativity. Get rid of those negative thoughts that are coming into your head. You can't do triathlons. You're too old to do triathlons. You're not in good enough shape. You don't have the physical abilities to do it. You know what? Get rid of that shit. I have a quest for you. Take the next week and pay attention to what you're thinking about. Pay attention to what you're thinking about yourself. Make sense? If you are saying anything to yourself that's in negative connotation, flip it around and make it a positive one. Positive self-talk is huge. And I'm working on it. This is something that I've always had an issue with because I'm so incredibly hard on myself. And because I have that type of thinking where it's all or nothing, that plays into this negative self-talk. So what do we want to do? We want to squash the negative thinking. Thank you so much for supporting me. I wouldn't be able to do this without you all. And everybody have a wonderful day wherever you are in this universe. Take care.